Before we begin, thank you very much to Blue Destron for leaving me a tip over on Ko-fi. Thank you very much for your extra contribution. Um, I keep thinking the streak's going to end, and then for some reason you think this is amusing. So I can't argue it. You can do whatever you want. Even if I remove the link at this point from the description, you're still just gonna find it. You're still just gonna find it. But I do appreciate the support. Thank you very much for the assistance. Thank you very much for letting me continue to be this like weird little toy nerd on the internet for all of you. I hope to continue doing so. Okay, we've got all the news now that, rumor is Michael Bay is coming back to the Transformer franchise. So that means things. But it also means apparently we have like 5 different projects for Transformers in the works of Paramount. So we're going to be busy. And, the director for Transformers 1 is also tied to an upcoming live-action Transformers movie. And, good on Paramount for not being able to say no when they see a sinking ship, because Transformers has not pulled money at the box office in years. But we're still going to try for some reason. So, you know what? Let's help them along. There are certain things that I think would improve the upcoming movies. There are certain things from past movies I think they should stop doing. So we're going to go over my top 10. Now, this is barely a list. There's so many more critiques that you could have for the live action movies. But these are just the things that I would really like to see for myself once we get brand new ones. So, without further ado, here are 10 things that the next Transformers movie needs to do. So this is going to be a very simple one, and this is easy to understand. Wait. Just wait. I firmly believe one of the reasons why Transformers 1 crashed and burned is because it came just 1 year after Rise of the Beast, which also crashed and burned, meaning that the audience didn't get time enough to miss seeing Transformers on the big screen, and their memory of Rise of the Beast and just how ultimately unsatisfying it was for the movie audience still fresh in their minds. So this one, I genuinely feel like if you want a Transformers movie to have the best chance of succeeding, you gotta wait. Slow cook it. Let the audience start to miss seeing Transformers on the big screen before you put out another one. In my head, I would literally wait 5 years before you put out the next one. But I know Hasbro would probably be more eager to get toys out. Paramount doesn't want to sit on it for that long. So if they're picking directors now, then, we'll start to, then we're looking at like 2-3 years at the tops before the next one comes out. I'm not sure that's long enough at this point. I think the audience needs time to forget how much they disliked previous entries. But is what it is. I feel like you need to wait. I feel like you need to let the franchise be missed. I don't think Paramount's going to do that, but I think it would help at this point. The big question here is, what's the continuation? Because now we have multiple timelines and universes that we can tap from for the next movie. Is this a continuation of The Last Knight? Is this a continuation of Rise of the Beasts and the Bumblebee movie? Or is this a continuation of Transformers 1? Hint, it's not a continuation of Transformers 1. Whatever it is, honestly, I think your best bet at this point, start over. I know you've got a lot of lingering plot threads. I know people want to see more Maximals and Predacons, so a Rise of the Beast follow-up would be great. If they've got 5 projects cooking, I have to believe one of them is a full Beast Wars movie. I have to believe that's somewhere in those 5 projects. But as far as just a standard Transformers movie, the '07 movie's been a while, okay? We're looking at 18 years since the first movie. I think it's time for a new jumping on point, and that's what Transformers 1 was supposed to be, but because it bombed at the box office, that becomes difficult to explain. So I feel like if we're going to do live action Bayverse again, it needs to be Bayverse 2 Electric Explosionaloo. Either way, I feel like you need to get new audience in, and for that, I think you need to start telling something from the ground up. Drop the previous fictions so no one has to go back and watch 5 movies of nonsensical storyline that contradicts itself. Start clean, start fresh, start simple, so we can maybe create something new and get something fresh in front of audiences, rather than just depending on the story that came before. It's a lot to ask, you know, an original idea out of Hollywood, but at this point, I feel like it's necessary. In a similar vein to starting fresh with a brand new story, I would say get rid of the formulas. Oh my god. I am so sick of some ancient Cybertronian relic showing up on Earth that everyone chases after. Oh, but we didn't get all of it, so we can't enact our plan, so we gotta have another fight somewhere else. Well, now the bad guys have all of it, and they're enacting their plan. Now the good guys have to stop it. I'm so sick of MacGuffin plots. Can we please come up with something new? At the very least, explain why every single super powerful Cybertronian artifact ever created somehow ends up on this big blue dust ball. Also, there's parts of the formula I never want to see again. I'm sick of seeing the main hero of the movie taken out so that they can make a heroic entrance during the third act. In the 07 movie, it's because Optimus got caught up by Bone Crusher. In the second movie, it's because Prime was dead. In the third movie, it was because Prime was literally tangled up in wires flying into Chicago. In the fourth movie, it's because Lockdown captured him. In the fifth movie, it's because Quintessa possessed and corrupted him. In Rise of the Beast, it was because Bumblebee was dead for the portion of the movie. I'm sick of this trope. Between those two facts, those two tropes of the MacGuffin and the lead hero is cut out of the action until partway through Act 3, I feel like I just described 5 different Transformer movies for you. 5 or 6, all at the same time. And I'm so sick of that being the thing. Please, new plot. Don't make me pay to see the same movie for a 7th time. Do something different with the characters. There's 40 years of history to tap. Every single other writer has come up with more ideas in the past. When you aren't coming up with things more clever than a cartoon from the 80s, you need to rethink your writing method. Here's a problem that has persisted throughout every single Transformers movie with the exception of Transformers 1 and I guess technically Bumblebee. And Bumblebee is the reason why I am putting this on the list. Keep it a small cast and let the robots be characters. If you keep the cast small, 4 Autobots, 4 Decepticons, that's all we need. That's all it really takes. I don't need to have gigantic armies. I don't need to have 6 Autobots cutting down hundreds of gray skeleton Decepticons in the big fight at the end. All I need is to have enough characters to flesh out and keep a plot going, and maybe that way I can get some kind of attachment to them. They're not just going to show up to do one cool thing and then fade into the background for the rest of the movie. Hi, Sideswipe. They are not just going to be some super obnoxious character who then fades into the background for the rest of the movie. Hello, Wreckers. Hello, Twins. Hello, Crosshairs. That's a running trope. Why do we have so many just like jerk characters in the Autobot? I don't get it. So the robots need to be characters. They don't just need to be set pieces for a big fight scene. They don't just need to be props as vehicles. Let them be characters so we can get attached to them as characters and not just wait for the big explosion scenes. It baffles me that it took until Rise of the Beasts, literally 7 movies in, before someone figured out, hey, these robots should be able to talk to each other in vehicle mode. Wouldn't that have let us get a lot of characterization across without blowing the CGI budget? It's not hard. The G1 cartoon did it all the time. Like, how did that escape anybody? Let them be characters so we can get attached to them. If we're not attached to them as characters, then there's no urgency to the fight scenes. There's no drama or suspense over whether or not they survive, or if they take a major hit, you don't wonder if they're okay because you barely care about them. Cared about Mirage in Rise of the Beast because they made a good character out of him. So when he started getting messed up, okay, I started wondering what was happening. That's good. Do that to everybody and keep the cast on both sides small so that we can focus on them more and not just try to flesh out a whole bunch at once. You remember when, you know what? I had a point, but we can get to that later. We'll get to that later. I'll tell you what. But for now, yeah, cast needs to be small. Optimus, Bumblebee, one random returning Autobot, one brand new one. Megatron, Starscream, Soundwave, one new Decepticon. That's all you need. It is time to be done with a classic gimmick of the live-action Transformer movies. Bumblebee needs to talk. At first, this was a cute little gimmick, but this came from a lot of weird things. The beginning of it was Paramount deciding they didn't want the robots in the movie to talk at all. And Hasbro was adamantly against that, so that was eventually dropped. But Bumblebee, being the main robot of the movie, kind of kept that into the writing for a lot of it. So he was mostly like very animated, very physically communicative, body language. But they kept the radio portion. The radio thing was in there to kind of give him some way of speaking and to work in some quick little references. But also, it makes for a really good plot device so that the exposition can be saved for when Optimus Prime arrives to make his arrival a lot more impactful. And in that was clever. But it got tiring. 2, 3, 4. All these movies forward, you're telling me I've seen robots blown up, arms blown off, holes through torsos, riddled with bullets and blades. Bumblebee literally falls apart and magnetically puts himself back together in The Last Night more than once. But you're telling me through all of this, you can't just fix his voice box? This is tired at this point. At this point, it's gone from a cute little gimmick to something that is genuinely stunting Bumblebee's ability to be a character and, I feel, connect to an audience. He needs to start speaking. We can't do the radio gimmick thing forever. Let him be a full character again. Drop the gimmick. Here is one of my biggest pet peeves in any heroic movie. Doesn't matter if it is Transformers or a Marvel or, hey, a DC movie. If I'm like sick in bed, dying of the flu and like the fever has made me go, I wonder what Dawn of Justice was all about. Let's put that on. Let's make this clear. The heroes in the movie need to be treated like heroes. I hate when a movie has the main cast, the populace of the planet, treating the good guys as if they are bad. I mean, there's a racism allegory here, which I don't like that that's crammed in, but also it feels misguided because there's no like flip side being presented. It's usually just a couple humans who like the Autobots still and actually understand that there's two different races that are at war. It's not just all Cybertronians. But I got so tired. In the third Bay movie, they started it. In the fourth, there was Cemetery Wind. In the fifth movie, it was like the entire world was out to get every Transformer, Autobot, or otherwise. And I hate seeing my heroes treated like the bad guys. It is depressing. It's depressing and it's exhausting. And they do it all the time in these movies. And I'm so sick of it. I want my heroes to be celebrated, Like, I want that triumphant shot of Optimus Prime. It's like standing and looking at the city he just rescued. I want, like, crowds of people cheering for the good guys here. I want I want a government official to actually like say, these are the nice ones. We like them. And actually show that, our race is smart enough to differentiate evil from good. We're hard. We're hard at that sometimes. We don't like doing that sometimes, but it's necessary here. Let me feel good about my characters. Let me feel good about my heroes, because it's really hard to feel like the day is saved and everything is okay when that thought in the back of my mind says they are still everybody's enemy. And I hate that. Stop it. So this one kind of goes back to the previous discussion of letting characters be characters. Keep the cast small so we can get attached to them. Here's the other part of that. Let the Decepticons stay alive. And if you start counting up the kill counts here, there's like maybe only like 10 dead Autobots total, if that, and like hundreds of dead Decepticons. You just like, how was this war not decided overnight? Because it seems like just a small ragtag group of Autobots can handle entire armies of Decepticons all by themselves like they're playing a freaking video game. The Decepticons dying in every single movie is such a trope at this point, to the point where it's just absolute absurdity, where Megatron's the only one that survives all the time. And Barricade, but that's kind of that was a budgetary accident. Barricade was also supposed to die in 07. So it's kind of accidental that there's even one who made it to movie 5. No. How do we get attached to them as threats and as characters themselves? Because the Decepticons shouldn't just be generic bad guys for the Autobots to punch. They should be characters themselves. And we can't really get that across when they die so quickly. Look back at The Last Night, okay? You have this whole scene that makes such a big deal out of all of these Decepticons getting let out of jail as Megatron names off their names. Berserker, Nitro Zeus, Onslaught. In this parade of them, and are coming out with like little personality bites on video and like title cards of their names. Like you're presenting the cast of a new fighting game or something. Like this is the next big MOBA game. And here's your playables. And then the next scene, they all die. All but Nitro Zeus. All the rest are dead. They don't even die in a cool way. They get caught in an explosion trap. It's like someone wrote the scene where Megatron is negotiating with the CIA. And they were going like, Megatron needs Decepticons. Like, we need bad guys here to kind of make them a threat. And then someone writes the very next scene. Someone completely different writes the next scene going, why do we have so many Decepticons? We'll never be able to keep track of all of them. Boom! No sense. It's so stupid. It's so stupid. And because you kill off the Decepticons all the time, in every single movie, we miss out on seeing the returning ones, seeing them in new designs and new upgrades. The ones that were genuinely threatening, coming back and being bigger threats. You miss the chance to ramp up the threat of the Decepticons. They seem just too easy to defeat. And this scene itself that you see right here, how much cooler would it have been if Megatron was calling out for captured Decepticons that you actually knew? If he asked for Bone Crusher and Stinger and, like Barricade, if he was actually asking for the ones you knew about because they were allowed to survive, and it just became this like all-star cast of Decepticons from the previous 4 movies, this scene would have been so cool. But it's a bunch of nobodies who die in the next scene. The bad guys need to survive. Period. And while we are at it, can we throw this one into Megatron needs to be a threat. I mean, like a genuine threat. He's always a bad guy. He's always the strongest Decepticon on the field. But at the same time, he never feels like he is like the big deal anymore. He's that way in the '07 movie, and he's that way in Transformers 1. But even Transformers 1 kind of like missed their mark a little bit, because his turn to become like the evil leader of the Decepticons was pretty quick, all things considered. So even then, I felt like they missed the chance of making him genuinely threatening before they make that heel turn happen. But when it comes to the live action Megatrons, he's always subservient to somebody. You know, whether that's the Fallen, Sentinel Prime, Quintessa, you know, Kelsey Grammer. I guess Lockdown more specifically. Movie, you know, like Age of Extinction's villain was Lockdown, which meant Megatron took a back seat, even though he was Galvatron at the time. But you know who it was. You know who it was. I just want the big bad Decepticon to be the big bad Decepticon. I want him to genuinely feel like the threat. I don't want him easily beaten. I don't want him to be subservient to somebody else. I don't want him to be like, you know, like second banana. I need him to be the guy. He needs to be the guy. Because that's what audience expect. You expect Megatron to be the big villain of the franchise, because that's what everyone knows him as. So, do it. Actually make him the villain. Stop making him someone else's minion. Let him be who he's designed to be. If there is a bigger villain in these movies than even Megatron himself, then it is a worthy target for this list at number 2, and it is a genuine threat that must be handled correctly. Someone shut up Devon Ventura. Someone shut this man up. When the new movie comes out and he wants to do the press junket, chain him down to the lazy boy that he's spouting his nonsense from. You can't let this man do the interviews. This is the guy who is trying to process what the Bumblebee movie was. Is it a spin-off? Is it a side story? Is it a prequel? Sometimes it might be a sequel. What? Can you explain how this is a sequel? You probably could. Probably could. He didn't understand the term reboot. He would not label it as a reboot, even though it contradicted literally every movie that came before it. But he would not just say it, and that's what we needed to hear. We needed to hear this was a reboot because we were tired of those live-action movies. We were tired of the Bayverse story and formula. Tell me this is new. Tell me this is a new take. Tell me this is fresh. Tell me this is not something I have to watch 5 movies beforehand to understand what's going on. Just be clear. Be clear in the marketing. Tell people what they're in for. Even with Transformers 1, he was like, well, we kind of want this to be the beginning of everything. Shut up. It's a new continuity. It's a reboot. Just say it. You know, he's doing it because he doesn't want to alienate the Bayverse audience that made billions of dollars for the franchise, because that's his only claim to fame. He wants to hold on to that so hard. So he wants those Bayverse fans to come back and not feel like this new movie is ignoring them or passing them by. But you're being so unclear about what it is that now it's just confusing. Because not all of us want the Bayverse stuff back. Some of us want new. I want new. So, is it? I don't know anymore, and this man is not helping me. I think he needs to go completely, but I know we're stuck with him because he's the longest running producer and he's like got all the money in the franchise, etc., etc. Whatever. If we're stuck with him, at least keep him from making things worse. He cannot be the one that is marketing this movie. Period. Do not let him talk. Do not let him out. Don't let him breach containment. I feel like ending today on a controversial note that will upset the comment section. But I'm going to do what I always do, and that is tell it to you like it is and treat you like you have a brain. if we're bringing forward a brand new Transformers movie, I genuinely feel like it needs to be a fresh start for the franchise. I feel like it needs to be doing something new jumping on point. Don't make someone sit through all the past movies that people generally don't like. Show me you can make just a good quality Transformer movie. And for that, if you really want to show that this is something fresh, new, different, you need to recast Optimus Prime. Look, I love Peter Cullen. It's the voice I grew up with. He is always going to be the real Optimus Prime. Even if I like the other choices we've had, even if I like Alan Tudyk, even if I like, hearing, why did his name just escape me? Thor. His name just completely fail on me. Chris Hemsworth. Even I like him, and I did like him in Transformers 1. We look at the performance from Peter in Rise of the Beasts, and it's still a good performance, but you can hear the energy is not there the way it used to be. And the new movie would be 4 or 5 years on from even that performance. This month, in just a few weeks, Peter Cullen will be turning 84 years old. And we know from reports that there have been health concerns for the man this year. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I feel like really like putting the pressure on to keep Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime, as if that is the only thing we can do, is almost selfish at this point. New Transformer fans are being made every time they do new media. New fans will pick up from Cyberworld because it's going to YouTube, where a lot of people probably haven't been exposed to current Transformers. People will be seeing this upcoming movie, as their very first experience in the franchise. They deserve to have their Optimus Prime. Kids seeing it now deserve to have that person that they heard 20 years ago, and that is their Optimus, their favorite character. They deserve to hear that voice come back and do the character again the same way we have heard Peter Cullen do it for the last 18 odd years. And I really want them to find that new voice for Optimus Prime. I want them to find someone who can actually fill those shoes while Peter is still alive, to show him how to tie the shoes. I don't want this to be a situation of, well, we were going to cast him, but he's gone, so now we just have to cast whoever. I want there to be a genuine passing of the torch. I want a Peter Cullen who can still show a newcomer, the new voice, how this character is done, and impart that same spirit that he had into the new actor, so that we can have someone new as Prime for the next 20 odd years. And I want him to be able to just enjoy what he has done for us without having to be pressured into coming back just because we won't accept an alternative. We're not going to have him forever. It's time to just let him rest and let someone else new give it a shot. I feel like if we're going to do something new with the movies, and I feel like if we're going to make a new start and actually show people this movie is worth coming back to, you have to be willing to do something completely new. And I feel like this might be necessary. So, with that controversial take done, I will invite you to let me know what you thought in the comments below. I'll be honest, I feel like a lot of these points I've hit before. I felt like I've actually done this video before, but I couldn't find anything in my searches. I couldn't find anything in my video history. So, even if not, it's worth getting these ideas out again. Soon, like while people are fresh and thinking about Bay again. So, let me know what you think in the comments below, what the next Transformers movie needs to do. And thank you for watching. I will see you next time.
Hello everyone, I am Astral Agent Magnetar, a Tokusatsu VTuber, and I am streaming 4 times a week over on Twitch, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons, and a special late night one on late Friday / early Saturday. So come watch, come hang out, and let's make an impact together.